Peace be on to you as well. Hello everyone. We are pleased to have the opportunity to present our topic today. Before we begin, let us briefly introduce ourselves. My name is Muhammad Zaki Fikri, and with me, Ruth Sarai Vasquez Delgado. Together, we will be presenting a discussion on 7 essential abilities in learning. These include linguistic, sociolinguistic, communicative, cognitive, affective, psychomotor, and spiritual abilities. The purpose of our presentation is to help us critically understand how these abilities contribute to a more holistic learning experience and how they shape students not only academically but also socially, emotionally, and spiritually. And then our presentation objectives is to critically understand linguistic, sociolinguistic, communicative, cognitive, affective, psychomotor, and spiritual abilities. Okay, to begin, we must differentiate between two concepts, competence and performance. The terms competence and performance are used frequently in second language approach. Since these terms are used differently by various researchers and signal important distinction for the purpose second language teaching and testing, it is worthwhile to discuss them in some depth. Chomsky introduced the terms competence and performance in modern linguistics through statement about the methodological necessity of studying language through idealized abstraction and ignoring what seems to be irrelevant details of language behaviors. Thus, competence refers to knowledge of grammar and of other aspects of language, while performance refers to actual use. Campbell and Walsh accept the methodological distinction between knowledge or ability and actual performance as a eminently honorable one in any discipline. Chomsky's strong claim is that competence refers to the linguistic system, or grammar, that an ideal native speaker of a given language has internalized, whereas performance mainly concerns the psychological factors that are involved in the perceptions and productions of speech, such as perceptual parsing strategies, memory limitations, and the like. Given this perspective, a theory of competence is equivalent to a theory of grammar and is concerned with the linguistic rules that can generalize and describe the grammatical sentence of a language. A theory of performance, on the other hand, focuses on the acceptability of sentence in speech perceptions and productions, and is a theory of interaction between the theory of grammar and the set of non-grammatical psychological factors bearing on language use. Okay, we're looking for the sentence in this slide. This slide illustrates the distinction clearly. Take the phrase A, the was cheese green. It is structurally ungrammatical. Now consider sentence B. The cheese, the rat, the cat, the dog saw, chased at was green. It is technically grammatical in structure, but it is so difficult to process that it becomes unacceptable due to performance limitations like memory. Finally, sentence C. The dog saw the cat that chased the rat that ate the cheese that was green. It's both grammatical and acceptable. Moving on. Let's look at two major approaches to language study: a grammatical approach and a communicative approach. A grammatical approach is organized around linguistic forms, things like phonological forms, morphological forms, syntactic patterns, and lexical items. This is the form-focused approach. And another one is communicative approach. A communicative, functional, or notional approach, however, is organized around communicative functions, such as apologizing, describing, inviting, or promising. This focuses on what people do with language. Now, we began exploring the 7 key abilities in language learning. The first one is linguistic ability, also known as language form ability. Linguistic ability refers to a learner's capacity to understand, analyze, and use the structural components of language. These include vocabulary mastery, grammatical knowledge, and even phonology, how words sound and how they should be pronounced. In practical terms, someone with good linguistic ability can construct well-formed sentences, understand both spoken and written text, and apply language rules appropriately in academic, formal, or informal settings. For example, when writing an essay, linguistic ability allows the student to choose the right vocabulary, form logical sentence, and avoid grammatical errors. When listening, it enables them to decode words quickly and follow the speaker's meaning. This ability forms the basic foundation upon which all other language skills are built. Next, we move into sociolinguistic ability, which is equally important. While linguistic ability focuses on structure, sociolinguistic ability focuses on context, knowing when, how, and to whom certain expressions should or should not be used. This includes choosing the right level of formality, understand cultural norms in communication, using expression appropriately across different social groups, and avoiding misunderstanding that arise from cultural difference. For example, the way we speak to a close friend is very different from the way we speak to a teacher or to someone in a professional settings. In some cultures, indirectness is polite. In others, being direct is appreciated. A simple phrase like "come here" might be acceptable among peers, but could sound rude if said to someone older or in a formal context. Sociolinguistic ability ensures that communication is respectful, culturally appropriate, and effective across diverse social situations. Without this ability, even someone with excellent grammar may still sound impolite or confusing. Now we talk about communicative ability, which integrates all the previous abilities and focuses on effective expression. Communicative ability includes clarity, fluency, and coherence. It involves the capacity to express ideas smoothly, to interact with others meaningfully, and to manage conversation in a logical and organized way. For example, someone with strong communicative ability can present an idea clearly, support it with arguments, ask and answer questions naturally, and conclude a discussion effectively. It also includes the ability to adjust language depending on the situation, whether speaking casually with friends or delivering a formal presentation. In essence, communicative ability is what allows language learners not just to know the language, but to use it successfully in real-world context. It is visible outcome of competence, performance, sociolinguistic awareness, and structural mastery coming together.
So, besides the abilities that already were explained by Ezekiel, like sociolinguistic abilities or communicative abilities, there are other abilities in discourse analysis that I like to call psychological abilities. These are really important because the discourse is not just about what we say, it's about what we do. And what we do is closely related to the way we think or the things we believe. So these abilities are the cognitive abilities, affective abilities, spiritual abilities, and psychomotor abilities. And today, I, your friend Ruth Delgado, I'm going to explain why these abilities are important in discourse analysis and how to use it. So cognitive abilities in discourse analysis are important because the things we know, the way we think, and our belief system are fundamental to how we say things and how we interpret other things. So let me explain. This brings the concept of figure words. A figure word is like an imaginary image in our mind that we see and is simplified and is unconscious and is based on the things we know, or past experience sometimes. And these figure words are linked to simulations we run in our minds. And when we communicate with other people, these images are always in our minds. And this can affect communication. So this brings the function of these figure words. Okay, let's put in some simple thing. When I say the word wedding, typical wedding clothes. When I say this concept, there comes an image to your mind. So this image that comes to your mind, this is the figure word. For me, it comes as a woman using a long white dress and a man using a black suit. Here in Palembang, it probably means men and women both using a red sunket with golden threads. Both are using golden accessories or gold accessories. And the woman is using a very big crown, right? So this is the function of the imaginary word or figure word. This incorporates the values or different cultures and the structure of authority. And whatever it is not in that norm, in that figure word, sometimes is seen as not normal or not right. So this brings the critical use of our cognitive abilities. We need to really be critical in how to judge, to say a word, this cognitive simplification. How? Well, we have the concept of supposed word, evaluative word, and word in action. So I'm going to change the example of the wedding to the example of the word success. So with the word success, or all the words, all the words, the exposed word is the things that we consciously believe. These are explicit intellectualist figures of the word. For example, with the word success, we have the definition on the dictionary, but we also have like maybe a good job, a big house, a good salary. These things are in our mind when we think about success, or the beliefs that other people say and that we say. The next one, we have the evaluative word. So the evaluative word is what we use to judge. So these are theories, can be models, or the way we look at things. We have already say with the word success, good job, good house, good salary. So what evaluative words as what we need to do to be successful, to have success, to have the good house, to have the good salary, to have the good job. And we choose to in the evaluative word, we choose the things that are going to help us. But with the word inaction, the word inaction is the things we actually do to reach success. Sometimes this word inaction can be in conflict with the things we believe and with the things we judge. Like with the word success, we know that we need to have a study hard, for example, to have a good job. But now we are seeing a lot of YouTubers and streamers that they don't study. We don't think they work hard, but they have money and they have a good house. So maybe that is like a conflict with the way we think and the things we believe are going to help us to make success. So this brings the last part. Then the knowledge claims an identity. So because language is used to say or to affirm certain things, that these things are explanatory and all about what we say we know and our identity. Getting back to the wedding clothes example, maybe my example of wedding clothes, my figurative word of wedding clothes is right, but that doesn't mean yours is wrong. Because what I see as a wedding clothes is related to my identity and the way I grow up. Same as your view of wedding clothes. So that is why cognitive abilities are important. Okay, let's talk about affective abilities. Affective abilities refer to emotions, attitudes, feelings, and values. They deal with how we signal significance and positions ourselves regarding to the distribution of social goods. But what does this mean? Okay, first, let's talk about valuing and attitudes. In discourse analysis, we know the language is constantly used to state or imply that someone or something is adequate, normal, good, acceptable. And what these words means will depend on our figure words that we already say in when we talk about cognitive abilities. And what is like the word appropriate, what means in a specific culture, which depends on attitudes, viewpoints, belief, and values. That's why it becomes part of the affective abilities. So let's talk about attitude. First one. In discourse analysis, we have attitude markers. What is an attitude marker? An attitude marker is a word that will say the attitude towards something that is happening. Like I say, for example, if I say, he was on time today, I'm saying one thing. But if I say, surprisingly, he was on time today, I'm saying other thing. I'm saying, normally he is never on time, but surprisingly he was today. If I say, unfortunately, he was on time today, I'm saying other thing. I'm saying that I was expecting him to be late, but he was on time. And that is bothering me. So that is an attitude marker. Also, we have the appraisal categories. The appraisal categories provide the framework for analyzing attitudes by dividing them into 3 categories of evaluation. So this is the framework that we have. Okay? Affect. This category concerns research, is used to make a positive or negative evaluation related to emotion and affectual response. Like say, he was on time. If I'm saying, unfortunately, he was on time, this affect the word unfortunately, the attitude marker, becomes that he was on time, it was a negative thing. So because my emotions are my emotional response to that situation, it becomes negative. We also have judgment, that the category makes an evaluative statement of what is morally wrong or morally right, the behavior of the person. Like if I say, like in the same example, he was on time, probably I say, surprisingly he was on time. I'm making a judgment that being late is a bad behavior. It's immoral, probably. And for last thing about appraisal categories, we have appreciation. This becomes making evaluation about both object, process, or phenomenon. When I say things like, oh, this is beautiful, this is valuable, this is something good. And what about the emotional prompts? Well, the emotional prompts refer to the linguistic or discursive resources. That again is an emotional response. So this is the intonation and the stress. The intonation that we use is a factor in the ways the things we are communicating are signal amplitude and have emotional meanings. If I say, surprisingly, he was on time. Surprisingly, he was on time. I'm probably saying 2 different things, right? if I say sure, or if I say sure, I'm again saying two different things. And you can know when the way intonation, the way my intonation is changing. Also, we have humor and discourse resources. So sometimes humor is used maybe to affect the discourse, maybe to make it more light. And that's why becomes also part of the affective abilities. Okay, the next we're going to talk about is the psychomotor abilities in discourse analysis. What are these psychomotor abilities? What does this mean? Okay, glad you asked. These psychomotor abilities cover the physical, non-verbal, and embodied actions that accompany language. In the part of affective abilities, we talk about how intonation and how attitude markers, words that specifically can change the meaning of the things of the things we are saying. But there are also things that we do that can change what we are saying. Let's start with discourse as embodied action. What does this mean? Well, this includes actions, interactions, the way we act, the clothes we wear, even the posture we have. Let's say you are invited for the president of your nations to visit him and to meet him in his office. And you go using a t-shirt, shorts, and slippers. What are you saying wearing that clothes? Probably you're saying that you don't like the president or that you don't respect him or respect her. So that becomes a discourse, embodied in action. What other things are we have? We have non-verbal cues and context. Things like facial expressions, gestures, and body language. So these things provide additional depths and layers of meaning to dialogue and what we are analyzing, and that can be used in discourse analysis to interpret what is the real meaning behind what I'm saying with my words. This includes the postural aspects and cultural codes. Like for some cultures, like mine, we talk about a lot with our hands, but our cultures don't do it. So this can make an additional layer. And finally, we have silence as psychomotor marker of presence and absence. So what does this mean? Especially for us as teachers. So silence can be interpreted as a sign of communication. That is non-verbal, and it becomes part of the psychomotor abilities. So silence as absence. These are markers that in the case of classroom, in the context of a classroom, that a student is not, his mind or her mind is not in the class or is not interested in learning. Let's say you as teacher says, who did the homework? And nobody is answering. And everybody is maybe looking at their books or are looking at the roof and avoiding you as teacher, avoiding to look at you as teacher. This silence is a marker of absence. Okay? And how can a silence also mean presence? We normally think that absence when students are not interacting in the class or are not asking questions, we tend to think, oh, they are not here. There is a silence as absence. But when it does means presence, well, it means like the students is alert to what the teacher is saying, is nodding, smiling probably, and is writing notes. That student is not speaking, is not asking question, but is there, is in the classroom, is showing that it is involved in their learning. So this is an example of silence as presence. And for the last thing, we have the spiritual abilities. We talk about spiritual abilities in discourse analysis. We talk about the deep values, the moral frameworks, the worldviews, and the core beliefs of not just the person that is speaking, but also of all of them that are listening. Because let's remember that discourse is not just about the language, but it's about everything else. But let's start with language. Language as faith or language as ritual it refers to how the values, how our core beliefs are reflected on the language. When you say, when someone asks, how are you? And you answer, thanks God, I'm good, that you are exercising, you believe in God. Or maybe when you are praying, when you are reading your sacred books, when you are listening to the spiritual leaders, that is all included in language as ritual faith or as faith. But also, when someone does something really, really bad, and you say, oh God, may God have mercy of this soul, you are exercising your language as faith, but also this discourse that you say reflects your ideology and worldview. Why? Because in your mind, in your worldview, that person did something very bad, very wrong, very morally wrong. So this brings the moral frameworks and the social goods. In our society, these moral frameworks and social goods reflect how we react to something. Let's say poverty. There are people that say, no, if you give money to the poor people, they are just going to continue being poor and they're not going to work. But because for them, their core system, the core value, is working hard to be successful, probably. But someone is going to say, no, you need to help the poor, the poor people, because we need to be generous when the things God has given to us. For that person, the goods that you have, it doesn't depend on your own effort, but also in God's mercy. And that's why that person says, okay, let's be generous. Let's give more social help to people that need it. So that will become a reflect on the society. And last one, we have the core identity and the values. All the core values that you have reflects, and it gives you a sense of yourself, a sense of realness, the sense of what is good, what is wrong, and what can be better, and that it will be reflected in how you use your language. So that's why it's also important the take in count the spiritual abilities when we talk about discourse analysis.